Hi, this is Leah Myers of Myers Design Studio, and today we're going to continue with our Amazing Dahlia. We're going to do this row. I'm going to show you how to set this row in. It's a little more difficult, but anyway, we'll get right to it and let's get sewing. Okay, so now we're on piece D, this one. You have a long side of a point, it's a longer point, and then you have a shorter point right here. So you want to put dots 1/4 inch away on these 3 points on the shorter side, like this one. Okay, let's move this away a little bit. So here's the shorter point here, just 1/4 inch little dots. That's where you want your needle down. You want to start sewing there, and you want to pin there too. And it's just like in the very first video that we did, we marked the points on these little pieces right here. So to attach them, right sides together, right here. You want to put a pin in this first point right there. I had a little bit of coffee today, a little shaky. You want to put your pin in 1/4 inch away right here. And I ironed it, it folded a little bit. It's fine. Leave that pin in, like that. Put the pin in the other point. So what you're doing is you're matching points constantly by pinning. And there's this point here, and we've got a little bit of overlap. Just ignore that. Put your pin right above and one pin smidge over to the point, because when you sew this point, you're going to start again on the other side, so you want these points to match, right? And leaving the pins in, you want to flatten out that curve a little bit. It's a very slight curve, like that. And you want to pin this, like that. Like that. Okay, so remember, don't pick up your pins and just pin, because what will happen is that will come out of alignment. You want to keep your alignment because you've marked it with your pin. Pinch it with this hand, in between, and pick up the pin and put it exactly where you had it. And then pin it that way. Do the same thing on the other side. Because you want these points to match, you just pin them. And make sure this little seam is underneath too. And you want to gather all that stuff up, including this little flap, because these kind of flap over. Just don't worry about that. You want to catch that inside this seam right here. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and sew that, and then I'll show you how to turn this piece, because this is just basically repeated over and over. It'll be easier in the next row. It's just a little difficult to sew because of this seam right here. There's a lot of bulk. In other dahlias I've done, this piece was a one piece. I didn't have this little circular bit. So it's just a little difficult to grab all of these little things together and have it work. So, but that's how it's designed, and we're going to just work with it. And then now I'm going to sew this piece together. Let me move the camera over. Move the camera over so you can see it. All right. And my scissors. I had to do some adjustments. Okay, and 1/4 inch away, needle down on the pencil line. It's repeating that over and over. Needle down on the pencil line. So start sewing where the pencil is. Okay. And I put the foot down before I take the pen away, because I want that to stay put. And then I just Put the needle down, put my pen away, and then sew a 1/4 inch. Okay. And then stop at that next mark. And oops, I have one of the little petals folded. Be careful. Okay, and at that point, just needle down and then back stitch a couple times, because you want to, there's a lot of stress in that point right there. Up, take it up, and then I'll show you how to fold that next one. Okay, so to pin and fold, so you want to fold your piece in the direction that your seam is going. You'll figure it out, because it's and you want to tuck all that stuff in, and you want to tuck all that stuff in that corner right there, and fold it over so that these guys are straight now. Okay. You just want to fold your piece so that you're kind of folding it in the direction you're going to sew next. So you fold it in half like this. And so this, you'll see that this is trying to bunch up right here. So you just have to have it towards you, like this, like that. And you want to get that point to pivot around like that. And you want to straighten it out. And it will take a little bit of time, and making sure you're not stretching the fabric, because there's bias. Okay, so you got to put your pin in the 1/4 inch dot right there, a 1/4 inch away on this little point right here. Okay, put a 1/4 inch on this side, and then leave the needle in, and pin, and then you want to flatten this out so that you flatten this out, also making sure all the seams are together. All right, and that looks good to me. Hopefully this works out each time. If you have a mistake, you can just pull it out. I'm trying to be as close as I can to get to the camera so you can see it. And then again, you're flattening out this curve so it's together. And it's not a real major curve. And let's sew this up and see if we've got it. And I've got a little bit of a fold, so I want to straighten that out a little bit. And I want to start sewing at that mark, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. But put your needle down right there at the mark. And make sure your threads are underneath the foot. Okay. And I did not pin this end part. Oops, I can't just lift it up. Gotta pin it again. I didn't pin it yet. Okay. And looking for that mark, which is right there. And try to keep those seams flat. My threads have, oops, I'm going backwards. Nope, it's going to be too far. Okay. Don't want to sew backwards. My threads are not under my foot. They're like jumping around today. Okay. And then sew 1/4 inch. This little featherweight really goes through those seams real well. I don't have any, like, it can be bulky on one side and thin on one side. It really goes through pretty well. I'm pretty impressed by how the feed dogs work. Okay, and at that next pencil mark stop, backstitch a couple times, and then take it off the machine. And so hopefully this worked out. So let's see. If you have to make adjustments, just gently pick out these seams and do it again. It's fine. It may take a couple times, but oh boy, there we go. There's the point. Oops. Here's the point. Sorry. And it's meeting at this, you can see it now. There you go. There's the point. See, that's perfect. So, and I take it to the iron, and I pretty much iron the direction it wants to lay. These guys want to lay this way. I've ironed, as you can tell, I've ironed either out or in, just depending on how it wanted to lay. So, and you just kind of let the fabric talk to you. And this one, I probably would just, and I iron only this part right here. Oops, can I see that? Yeah, I can. I iron only this part right here, because it's not necessary to iron up all this way, so you can kind of tell that some of my, when I iron, they kind of got folded around, but that's fine. Don't worry about it. This is a harder technique, but that turned out really great. So I'm going to finish the rest of this row, and then I'll demonstrate the next row. Okay, now we're going to start with piece E, and you keep repeating the process, putting pencil marks on the smaller end of the piece, because this is the one you're setting into the dahlia, and mark a 1/4 inch away on each of these. So I have my piece here. I'm just going to put a pencil mark a 1/4 inch away. I eyeball it. You can measure this to be more precise, but as you sew a lot more, you'll be able to see it with your eyes. And also the second thing is that you'll see it also on your either at the edge of your foot or this little tape I have down here. You'll be able to double check if you did it right there too. But I've done this so much that I can just see it, which is nice. But I don't always accurately mark it, so I also double check on my machine. So do the double checking. And I've noticed that the edges aren't exactly even here, so I'm going to go with this edge that I just sewed, the previous petal, and I'm going to go a 1/4 inch away. There's just a little variation there. I'm not going to worry about that too much. You don't want to make a habit of having it too far away, but if it happens, just keep going. There's all these biased edges, and so put the pin in the pencil mark 1/4 inch away. Go by the previous petal. If you have, that's the first time that's happened. I don't know why that's happened. Probably because I'm talking and demonstrating, and at this point, put your pin in. I put it just slightly, a smidge over, but not much, because the fabric width and the stitches, like the thread, they add a little more bulk. Just a little bit away, not a lot. In sewing curves and bias edges, there is a lot of stretch, and it's not like when you make a block and it's straight sewing, where you're just sewing a straight line and you're putting together, like say you're just you know, sewing straight. It's a lot different. It's a lot of trial and error too. My first dahlia that I worked on was smaller, and I found smaller isn't always easier. So that's why I went with the bigger one, bigger size. Plus, I mean, this is your whole quilt top, right? This is the whole thing on the quilt. And then I do like decorative borders on the outside, you know, just if you want to make it a big, big quilt. So again, the same process over and over. Put your needle down on the line or the dot that you made. And sometimes when you walk the feed dogs will advance too far, so you gotta make sure you have that needle in that line. And I'm working with a smaller stitch length. And I'm thinking that the 220 and the 15, that's really like 2.0 on the featherweight. I think that's what that is, because I got to thinking, why does it say 15 and 20? There's just no dot in between the numbers. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but... Okay, so this petal is folding, and I don't want that to happen. So put your needle down, lift up the foot, put that petal where it's this previous petal that's going underneath the feed dogs right now, and straighten everything out. Because if you sew it while this is folded under, you're going to sew it folded, and that's not going to be good. So, and it still wants to wiggle out, so I'm going to sweep my pen and just sweep that fabric back under. For some reason it's wanting to jump. And needle down, and I want to reverse here at the very end. Okay, put my machine back in the forward position. Don't want to drive backwards unless you need to. And clip. And this process goes over and over all the way up the petals. Okay. Now you turn that corner. Turn that corner, right? And put that pin back in the where the dot is. And this just repeats all the way up. And then when we get to I, I'll do another video on how, and then I'll do the I all the way around, and then I'll show you how I want to set this particular dahlia in, and you can do that too. I didn't write the last bit in that pattern where the square part, you know, when you make the square, the setting squares or triangles, they're not really triangles because they have arcs in them, but it is the same idea of setting triangles. And you want that straight, and okay. Whew. All right, so I got that all out of, just measure, patience, 1/4 inch, pinch that between your fingers real well. Make sure the needle is straight across like this. You don't want it pointed down or that way. You want to make sure that that is like that, because you want those points to match exactly. And just pick up the pin and set it in. And this process repeats. And so for the corner, because you flattened it out, and I basically, between these two fingers, have the bottom edge of this corner in between them, and I'm holding that in. It's kind of like a little box corner in a way. And I will, without stabbing myself, now I'm afraid, I'm afraid of pins. And I just put a pin right here to hold these fabrics together. I will take that out as soon as I set my needle in. And this is getting longer, so I'm going to just pin in between these pins. Yep. And I fold right where this corner is. I fold that fabric back so it's straight. It gives me a flatter surface. Fold it back and start sewing. Yep. I know this is a harder I think pretty much except for like diamonds maybe. And to be honest, I haven't really sewn too many diamonds. You know, like Lone Star, the Lone Star pattern. I have a pattern in my head, how I want to make the next one. I haven't found a block for it yet, but it has some like diamonds, and you could have diamonds on one side and then have like this triangle forming, or a bigger diamond on the next to it. Anyway, I've got another pattern in my head I'm formulating, and it would be a lot easier than this one. But I want to give you a challenge, you know, challenge people out there, and give it a shot. And hopefully I'm demonstrating this well enough that it will be something you can try. And I really do. So now I'm done. I stopped at the little dot. I backstitch every time I stop on this quilt. I don't just continue sewing. And right here, I'm going to check. And yep, everything's good. Okay, so this looks all bunchy right now, right? Well, I'll show you in the camera. See, it looks all bunchy, right? I haven't ironed yet. So don't get, you know, you're going to see that. Don't worry. Now, I'm going to iron this point down, the one I just sewed. And I'm not ironing these guys. I'm just ironing this point right now. Okay, and I'm going to show you. And I think this might be why people don't like Y seams. And anyway, hopefully this doesn't make me a liar. But it all relaxes into a point. Yeah, it did. There's a little stress right here. I don't know why, but it's actually very, very nice. So, and see, there's the point right there. Good. And we're ready for the next petal. So anyway, I'm going to continue on with this row and the next one and the next one until I get eye to eye. And you just repeat this process over and over. The next, I'll show you what this row looks like. You'll see a little overlap right here. That's fine. You're going to catch that in the next row of petals. But you do want to have that overlap because you're going to have something to pin to. So, like just for instance, when I'm pinning to this point right here, when I'm pinning to that point, see how that's overlapping? So behind here, I will catch that in the 1/4 inch seam in the row I'm sewing right now. Right there. Because that's where my 1/4 inch. And the 1/4 inch is where this little point, because your point should have a 1/4 inch away. See, the point is a 1/4 inch away. So you're sewing right to it. And if you do get some of this bunching, this kind of bunched a little bit, that just means maybe I sewed a little too far in one point or another, but it's not a deal breaker. It's just fine. It's just fine. There's just a lot of seams going to one place. a lot less seams than than this row though. That row, yeah, that's when I decided I'm not doing 3 petals at a time, and that I'm just going to build it around and around and around. To me, this is a flatter method for me. I mean, you could try some other methods, but for me, this works out really good. All right. Well, thank you for watching today. I appreciate you being here. Please like and subscribe. I have a fussy little girl here who's just insisting that it's dinner time. It's not dinner time. It's not time to eat yet. She's an old girl. I love her. Anyway, her name's Cece. And please like and subscribe, and I'll see you the next time. Thanks. Bye.